Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where we're checking out a video that was recommended by Joe, and the title of that video is Why Other Countries Laugh at American Homes. Oh my gosh, I think 2025 is probably the worst year in my lifetime right now because, obviously, as you guys may or may not know, everybody is laughing at the United States. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people are laughing at the United States because of what's going on. It's just, not the houses. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna be checking out this video right now, and let's see, you know, comparison of how other countries like European countries actually deal with their homes and how they're much better than the United States home. Yeah, without further ado, man, let's check out this video. If you have any recommendations, you can click that link in the pinned comment section and you can recommend videos just like Joe did, and I'll check them out as soon as possible. Without further ado, let's check out this video.
Other countries are laughing at us. It seems like every time I mention American homes online, a wave of criticism follows. People from all around the world comment saying how American homes are cheap, flimsy, and downright stupid. The comments typically go on to say how this country or that country builds way better. But what countries are laughing at us, and why? It's mostly Europe, but there are others. Many believe that compared to America, their homes are better quality, sturdier, and built to last. Is there any truth to these claims, or is everyone else just jealous of how great we are? How do other countries build? Are their methods truly
Please just stop. I hate the idea of jealous of how great we are. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's so embarrassing. Ah! It's so embarrassing because the moment you step outside of the United States and you really actually open your eyes to the rest of the world, it humbles you like real fast. Dude, before I moved to Finland, I was like, does Finland drive? What side of the road does Finland drive on? When I found out the almost the entire world drives on the same side of the damn road like the United States, I was like, what the dude, it's a humbling feeling when you actually start diving into other people's country and knowing that you're not that special. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and a lot of things that America does is actually inferior to a lot of countries.
better? And if they are, why don't we implement them here? I spent the past several weeks studying every different construction method from around the world to find the answer. Let's
Okay.
talk about it. All around the world, homes are built using materials that are local, cost effective, suitable for the climate, and embrace tradition. Earth homes are popular all around the world. This method dates back to ancient civilization and is still in use today in countries like Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, India, Peru, and many more. Typically, a mixture of clay, straw, sand, and binding agents such as animal dung, which sounds gross, but it adds workability and cohesion to the mixture. And supposedly, the microorganisms protect the structure from mold and fungal growth that would otherwise occur. Now, earth homes are built using a few different techniques. There's cob, which is molded by hand and allowed to air dry. There's adobe, which is made into sun-dried bricks and assembled with or without mortar. And there's rammed earth, which is compacted between formwork, and then the forms are later removed. Sometimes a coat of lime plaster is applied to the exterior of the completed home. While researching for this video, I discovered that portions of the Great Wall in China are actually built using rammed earth. I'd always thought the whole thing was built with stone. Turns out I was wrong. It was built using materials that were available locally for each section of the wall, which of course varied with the wall spanning such a great distance across
Right.
multiple regions.
Makes sense.
But I'm getting off topic. I haven't seen anyone bragging about their earth homes. So what other methods are there? Next up is timber framing, which also dates back to ancient civilization. Timber framing is popular in countries where lumber is a local resource. Early timber
Yeah, because a lot of people may say that European homes are, stronger than American homes. I can verify that. Yes, in Finland, I would consider the homes a little bit more of better quality. However, in Finland, I don't know if you could hear that, but that is drywall. So Finland actually uses a lot more wood because there's so much here. So you're gonna use what you have in a larger quantity of. You're gonna use what you got. So yeah, but don't get it twisted. Finnish homes are very good quality either ways.
Timber frame buildings use heavy timbers connected with
And also, I must mention, Finnish homes have variations of materials as well. It's not just wood.
joinery to form the skeleton of the building, and then the walls were completed with an infill material such as wattle and daub, brick, or stone. For those wondering, wattle and daub is a clay mixture like what's used in earth homes, and this clay mixture is applied to a lattice of sticks or plant material, and it adds insulation value and completes the building envelope. Like with earth homes, the infill portions were often covered in plaster. In applications where the timbers remain exposed on the exterior, this is referred to as half timber. This style was popular in Northern Europe throughout the medieval period, and some of these buildings are just absolutely beautiful, with the infills and the timbers being carefully decorated. Take a moment with me to appreciate some of these beautiful half timber homes.
It's got to be Germany. Oh, by the water. Yeah, that's my type of shit right here. I'm not gonna say this one is the most beautiful because it's not as pretty as the second one to me. I think the second one on the whole slideshow that's going on here. I think that's the most beautiful one thus far. But the water, oh my gosh! Imagine waking up in the morning, fresh air coming in, the water. Ooh, gosh, ooh, man! I'm talking about life right here, man. Damn. Holy shit.
The medieval period was probably not the greatest time to be alive, but at least you would have been surrounded by beautiful architecture. Homes built by early American settlers also used timber framing with wattle and daub infill. However, most opted to cover the exterior with wooden siding called clapboards rather than leave the timber and infill exposed. Modern timber framing often.
So you're telling me that this is where that influence actually came from? Like that's the finish that 90% of American homes has, in my opinion. My opinion, that's the finish. That is crazy. Huh. Wild. So that's where it came from? That's wild.
For most opted to cover the exterior with wooden siding called clapboards rather than leave the timber and infill exposed. Modern timber framing often uses cross-laminated timber and glue-laminated timber, which are both engineered wood products. The infill has been replaced by insulation, drywall, and conventional siding. Sometimes additional insulation is added on the exterior in the form of SIPs or wood fiber insulation. Timber framing is used around the world in countries like Germany, Austria, Sweden, Japan, New Zealand, and more. The U.S.
Just not going to mention Finland, but it's okay. It's okay.
and Canada also have a rich history of building timber frame homes. However, this changed over time to prioritize light wood framing. Historically, most homes in the U.S. were timber frame or log cabins. Homes were built primarily with joinery, since nails needed to be handcrafted by a blacksmith and were quite expensive. Eventually, nails began to be mass-produced, and at the same time, sawmills and dimensional lumber became commonplace. This gave rise to what we now know as balloon framing. This new method was faster, cheaper, easier, and made better use of available lumber. While log cabins used large, heavy timbers, balloon framing used small, individual studs that ran from the foundation to the roof. These studs were quickly joined together with nails and didn't require the same level of skill as timber framing. However, this method had a critical weakness. After several devastating fires, like the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, it became clear that balloon framing was a fire hazard. The long studs created continuous cavities that allowed fire to spread quickly. But fire hazards weren't the only problem with this method. As lumber availability decreased and these long studs became harder to produce, we switched over to what's called platform framing. Like balloon framing, platform framing consists of individual studs. The biggest difference is that the studs break at each floor system or platform, which reduces the fire hazard and allows for shorter pieces of lumber to be used. 150 years later, and this is still the primary building method in North America. Other countries that use light wood framing include Sweden, Norway, Finland, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. But these are not the construction methods of the countries that criticize us. Let's get into some of the more interesting material choices. Stone is another option for building homes. Also dating back to ancient times, stone homes are durable and use local materials. The Trulli homes in Italy, Trulli, I'm probably saying that wrong. The Trulli homes in Italy are a great example of dry stone construction. And these homes use a double-walled facade consisting of an interior and an exterior layer of stone, which creates a very dry environment inside. These homes are preserved as a piece of Italian history and serve as commercial shops, tourist accommodations, and private housing. Another great example of dry stone homes are the Clochán stone huts in Ireland. It's another one I'm probably saying wrong. If these look familiar, that's because a famous Jedi spent some time hiding out there. While these methods of dry stone construction are interesting, they compose the minority of stone homes. Most structures built with stone use a stone and mortar technique, which creates a tighter enclosure but is weaker to settling. Today, stone is a less common material for structural use due to the availability of modern construction materials like concrete, brick, and CMU. But in rural areas or out of respect for tradition, stone cottages in the UK countryside or traditional stone homes in Greece are still very popular. Countries that still build with stone include Italy, Greece, France, Spain, Scotland, Ireland, Portugal, Turkey, India, and various nations in Africa.
In
But
Africa
stone is
too? Dog, I did not know that. I did not know that. I thought shorties was like. Okay, let me get back to speaking English. I literally thought that people actually stopped using stones. Like I've always seen the pictures of Greece, and I'm like, yo, that is so cool. But I always thought that everything was just like old. But they're doing that right now. That is crazy. In Africa too? Like what?
isn't the only way to build that's rock solid. Okay, bad joke. Moving on. Much of the ancient world
Brick.
was
Yeah,
built
yeah.
with brick, stone, and concrete. However, with the fall of the Roman Empire, there was a decline in brick and concrete construction. The knowledge of brick making and Roman concrete were lost and the techniques abandoned. So, throughout the medieval period, timber framing was the most common form of construction. However, after many devastating fires like the Great Fire of London in 1666, fired clay bricks began to make a resurgence. Brick construction thrived during the Renaissance period, and even more so after the Industrial Revolution. Today, brick construction is extremely popular in Europe. And when I say brick construction, I mean that the brick is a structural material. In America, when we have brick houses, they don't add much to the house structurally. It's purely cosmetic. The ties that attach the brick to the house are just to keep the brick from tilting away from the framing. The brick does not provide any structural strength to the house. What I'm referring to in other countries is either multi-width, large bricks, or double walls of bricks that make up the exterior walls where brick is used in a structural application. While these are referred to as clay blocks and closely resemble CMU, this is still technically a brick because it's a fired clay product. The perforations in the block increase its insulating properties, and the blocks are often filled with insulation and or built in a double wall application where insulation is placed in between, like you can see right here. These blocks are then finished with a coat of plaster or stucco on both sides, the interior and the exterior. Masonry buildings are either all masonry, which is cheaper, or they used a reinforced concrete frame with a masonry infill. This is known as confined masonry. According to the Federal Statistical Office in Germany, at least 85% of homes and multifamily buildings are solid structure construction, which is defined as either concrete or masonry. A friend of mine who lives there says that almost all the homes he sees are built with brick, while all the newer homes are precast concrete. Other countries that prioritize brick construction are France, Italy, India, China, the
What the hell is wrong with India? They in everything.
UK, Belgium, Australia, Uganda, Tanzania, Brazil, Poland, Hungary, Argentina, and more.
That's a lot of
Like I
countries.
mentioned earlier, concrete construction was quite popular in the ancient world. Many of the Roman concrete works, like the Colosseum, the Pantheon, and the aqueducts, have survived for centuries. In fact, some of the aqueducts are still in use today, almost 2,000 years later. Despite the technology having ancient roots, concrete construction disappeared from history for a while. It seems the knowledge of concrete construction died along with the Roman Empire. But then in 1824, Joseph Aspdin invented Portland cement, the binder in modern concrete. After some trial and error, it was discovered that concrete, when reinforced with internal steel, could be used in a variety of applications such as elevated slabs, columns, cantilevers, and more. Concrete has great compressive strength, but it lacks tensile strength. Steel is just the opposite with great tensile strength. And when combining concrete with internal steel, it was now strong in both directions and able to be used in new ways. The genius of Roman engineering was that they were able to accomplish great feats without any internal reinforcement. Instead, the Romans relied upon arches, which kept the concrete in compression, and the supermassive size of concrete structures to help
Exactly.
support the weight. Other impressive features of Roman concrete are its self-healing properties, the use of underwater concrete, and its overall resistance.
Yeah, I still don't get it how they do the underwater thing. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like I am very shocked anytime I see a European home or something of the sort building that is literally surrounded by water. I'm like, dude, this is like so amazing. And it's been there for a long period of time.
To the moist, salty climate. In fact, Roman concrete is being studied today and may make a widespread comeback. But I'm getting off topic again. Between the late 1800s and the early 1900s, architects like Le Corbusier, again, probably saying it wrong, and Auguste Perret designed many homes and public buildings with concrete across Europe. And since then, concrete has grown to become an essential material in nations around the world. But we're supposed to be talking about homes. So who's building concrete houses? One of the biggest contenders is Switzerland. With a focus on building to last and a rich supply of limestone, Switzerland is a land of concrete. Every year, over half a ton of concrete is used per Swiss resident. While being a small alpine nation, Switzerland is regularly one of the largest consumers of concrete in the world, consistently among the top 5. Right next door, Germany is also a big proponent of concrete housing, with many newer homes being built using precast concrete panels. Most new buildings in Italy and France are either all concrete or they consist of a concrete frame and a masonry infill. And in Puerto Rico, Concrete homes are viewed as the standard method of construction, being equated with safety and quality work. Other countries that build a substantial number of concrete homes include the Netherlands, Romania, the UK, Kenya, Nigeria,
Don't say India.
Egypt, and more. But there's another way concrete is used to build homes. While not dating back to the ancient world, CMU is so popular that it deserves its own category for this video.
Oh,
Concrete masonry
blocks.
units, sometimes called cinder blocks, are used to build homes around the world. In the early 1900s, cinder blocks began to be mass produced and offered an easy, cost-effective way to build high-quality homes. CMU construction is especially popular for homes in Mexico. The most common application is a reinforced concrete frame with a CMU infill. The reinforced frame is stronger than CMU alone and can resist earthquakes. However, in lower income areas, the homes tend to be all CMU to keep overall costs down. Like brick houses, the CMU homes get a finished coat of plaster or stucco. The United States does build some CMU homes in areas like Florida, Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. And these homes are better at resisting inclement weather and help to keep the house cool in the hot, harsh climates. Other countries that build with CMU include Puerto Rico, Haiti, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Australia, and more. But there's one material we haven't considered, and that's steel.
Yeah, steel.
While it's not super common for homes, I wanted to be thorough and ensure that I mentioned it.
Wait.
Steel framing is typically used for commercial or multifamily buildings more so than it is for homes, but you will occasionally see steel frame homes. My friend Larry built one in Indiana that's double wall, built to passive house standard, packed with insulation. It's a very cool house. Maybe one day we'll get to take a tour of it, but it's not very common. Typically it's used in commercial buildings, but in some countries you will see it on higher end projects like a big custom home in Australia, the US, or the UAE. Now you might be wondering, this seems like it's all about walls. What about roofing materials? And that's a great question. And because this video is probably too long already,
but like for roofing, I'd imagine everybody's using the same thing, or at least similar, right? Because most people have timber roofs, so I don't really see how it could be very different. That's wild. Let's see.
I'll oversimplify it. Most roofs use a wood or timber for the framing and receive a covering with locally available materials. Thatch was a common roofing material for much of history, and it's still used today. And thatch is composed of straw or woven plant material, and they're multi-layered with each layer overlapping the next in order to shed water. The material also had the capacity to absorb water and then dry out naturally, making for a surprisingly dry home. More modern roofing methods include clay tiles, wooden shakes, slate, composite materials like this Da Vinci product you see right here, where it looks like a wood shake, but it lasts 50 years, never loses its color. And there's also asphalt shingles and various types of metal roofing. Now, it's clear that homes around the world are all built differently. But do other countries have better methods than the U.S.? We're going to group concrete, CMU, and masonry into one category and call it solid structure.
Yes.
The biggest criticism of American homes is that America primarily builds with light wood framing, while the rest of the world prefers solid structure. And there's some real problems.
Okay, Russia, I see you, Russia. Europe, okay, I see you. Australia, I see you. Australia got a little wood over there, but I see you. Oh, God. United States would just, wait, who that is? What is that? Oh, it's Greenland. I was like, who that is, because I couldn't tell. But anyways, yeah, majority of the world uses freaking stronger materials. That is actually wild. Pretty cool, though.
Problems with light wood framing, such as fire hazards, a lack of disaster resistance. It's vulnerable to termites, carpenter ants, and other pests.
Yeah.
Wood is also prone to mold, decay, and warping, especially in high humidity areas. And the quality of lumber has gone down over time. Lumber now comes entirely from new growth, plantation grown trees, which have a lower density and a lower resin content, making them more vulnerable to moisture and pests. Another downside to light wood framing is that it has limited strength, and it's a poor choice for high-rise and multifamily buildings without a large amount of additional reinforcement. The benefits of light wood framing are that it's fast and cheap, it's relatively easy to build, and it's well understood by contractors. It's also a renewable resource where we can always plant more trees, and it's easy to remodel. There's also design flexibility, allowing for dormers, cantilevers, and non-aligning walls. While solid structure homes are praised, they're not without problems. The cons of solid structure include dampness, increased construction time, added cost, added complexity, design limitations without additional engineering, such as cantilevers or non-aligning walls. And there's also environmental concerns, particularly regarding CO2 and energy usage, but I'm going to talk about that more in another video. The benefits of solid structure buildings are that they're built to last, they're fireproof,
yes, sir.
They're resistant to natural and man-made disasters, they're energy
Man-made? Man-made? What the hell?
efficient, they're very strong, they can be used for high-rise or multifamily buildings, and they reduce sound from the outside world. But does this actually make homes in other countries better? So the answer is yes and no.
Yeah.
Again, most places build based on local material availability, climate, cost effectiveness, and tradition. And that's going to vary from place to place.
Right.
Each country also has a unique philosophy behind how they build homes. In Europe, for example, buildings are built to last for centuries. People don't move around as much, and houses stay in the family for generations. There's also a focus on sustainability with strict building codes and high standards. Conversely, other countries like Japan view homes as disposable, where rebuilding is common after seismic events. America is somewhere in between, trending towards disposable. While high-performance homes do exist in America, they are the underwhelming minority of new builds.
Exactly.
Most homes are built to the minimum standards that code requires to keep things fast and cheap. Even our multi-million-dollar homes use the same light wood framing techniques instead of solid structure. So, in a way, there's some truth to the criticism of American homes. It would actually make a lot of sense if we started building more solid structure homes. Concrete, for example, would be an excellent building material for homes in the U.S., and here's why. Historically, lumber was cheap, high quality, and readily available. But now it is none of those things, which raises the question, why don't we build with brick or concrete? While brick is not super common for structure.
What's wild is the United States actually had a period where brick was actually real top dog. It was top dog, but it's falling off, man.
Structural use in the U.S., concrete is. We already use it for flat work, foundations, and commercial applications.
Exactly.
It's readily available. Why don't we use it for our homes? Many parts of the country experience hurricanes and tornadoes, and there's all kinds of man-made disasters which destroy homes built with light wood framing. Concrete homes would be able to survive these disasters. Concrete homes also last longer, reduce sound from the outside world, and use less energy to heat and cool. This may come as a surprise, but concrete homes are not a new concept for Americans. While America is known for wood houses, we've been experimenting with concrete homes for a long time. Thomas Edison had a patented system for building concrete houses over 100 years ago. The forming system was patented by Thomas Edison, but he leased it out for free to builders to test the idea. The forms were nickel-plated for a smooth finish and were interchangeable to ensure variety between each building. In fact, all parts of the buildings were to be built with concrete. The steps, the floors, the walls, even sinks and bathtubs were to be concrete. A handful of concept homes were built using Edison's forming system across the U.S. These homes in Gary, Indiana, were designed by D.F. Creighton and built in 1910 by the United States Sheet and Tin Plate Company, and they used
1910.
Edison's forming system. His mission was to build more affordable housing for workers in industrial areas. However, the system failed. Though the finished houses were affordable, even more so than light wood framing, the forming system was just too expensive for most builders to purchase, and it was likely also a bit overcomplicated. Other historical examples of concrete housing in America include concrete block homes built by the builder Levitt and Sons, who was doing a lot of production housing after World War II. And Frank Lloyd Wright built several homes out of concrete, and he had plans for the mass production of houses like this too. In the early 1950s, he came up with the idea for the Usonian automatic house, a house made of inexpensive modular concrete blocks. Wright hoped that home buyers could save money by building their own houses, but assembling the modular parts proved complicated, and most hired contractors to build their Usonian homes. While these concrete-based systems did not transform the housing industry, some modern concrete methods are becoming increasingly common in residential construction. According to Mike Weber, the director of residential programs for the Portland Cement Association, around 15% of the homes built in the United States are considered concrete homes. They either have concrete exterior walls or all concrete, and that number is growing each year. Let's look at some examples. There's CMU homes, which are popular in places like Florida, Arizona, and Texas.
Just stand.
There's precast systems, often containing built-in insulation, and these precast homes are panelized so they can be built very quickly. There's also cast-in-place concrete homes. They're built using variations of standard concrete forming technology. So instead of a Simon's panel, you use something like a Thermomass CIP, cast-in-place system. Again, the insulation is integral to the assembly. And then there's my personal favorite, ICF, or insulated concrete forms, are foam blocks that are easy to assemble like Legos. They snap together to form the shell of your building, and then the walls are then braced and filled with concrete. After concrete is placed, the form...
I think I've seen Germany doing that exact same thing. I'm not sure if it's exactly that, but I think I have seen that Germany is doing this. But this is pretty cool. Like, there are many ways how to build. I'm telling you, there's many ways how to build. Like, I already know a lot about building, but I'm learning a lot through this damn video.
stay in place and serve as insulation material. Unlike other methods, ICF protects the concrete from moisture and therefore corrosion, ensuring it lasts as close to forever as we can get. Because these blocks have built-in studs, they're finished with drywall and siding, just like a wood house, so you get all the benefits of concrete without the appearance of a bomb shelter. ICF has a high insulation value and performs somewhere around an R50, while according to the U.S. Department of Energy, 2x6 wall with fiberglass bats is going to perform around an R13. ICF is also comparable in cost to other energy efficient options. It's not that much more to build a house that's significantly better. In my opinion, it's going to be the best value per dollar spent when it comes to building a new house. While other countries have been laughing at American homes, we're catching up fast. What do you think? Should America build more?
No, I do agree, because the reality is American homes are not the average. So a broke boy like me, for example, obviously, I'm not able to build or to purchase the house that is comparable to the European standard. However, there are houses like that in the United States. Brick, the blocks, all these things, they're there. It's just that they're not as common as the thin little wood thing going on. It's just terrible. But yeah, more people are investing in it, and I think why it's happening is simply because, you know, for southern states like Florida, South Carolina, Texas, those guys, Georgia, Atlanta, whatever, you literally need stronger houses in those places because of hurricanes, and they just will whip your ass and just screw you over, right? So you need stronger houses in those places. So it's quite obvious why those areas will have those stronger houses, and why they're gonna do it before everybody else in the United States. But I'm really happy that at least the percent is so much higher than I thought, because I did not know 15% of American homes are considered, you know, what do you considered strong material made. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But that's wonderful in my humble opinion. But yeah, this was a beautiful video. Thank you for recommending it. And yeah, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching. Peace.